My Cyberpunk avatar says hello in the thumbnail, live action version says hello in this video. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, even before Phantom Liberty and before the 2.0 update, 2.1 updates. I wanted to talk about the various fixes that have come to Cyberpunk because I also made a promise to do that in case things were very significant. When I first reviewed the game in February 2021, I talked about how it took me a while to get to it because I had to play it on a PS5 to actually get some sense of completion. I finished it on the PS4 to like maybe the end of the prologue because I was having such a hard time getting through it, especially when it came to all of the glitches and crashes that were going on. Things weren't even rendering properly. But the PS5 version was a lot better and was able to at least play it at the bare minimum. At that point, bare minimum was, can I play the game? Which is something that you will hear a lot of, especially because it just won Best Ongoing Game at the Game Awards. The first comment that came up was, so they won for doing the bare minimum. Bare minimum is not what you get with 2023 Cyberpunk 2077. What you get here is a completely revamped video game, which is way more like the thing that they promised early on. And it is actually quite remarkable how they've transformed this into that original vision. And it's such a shame that things went the way that they did with the original release, because right now, if this had come out in 2023 for the very first time, you would have something over here that'll rank as one of the finest video games in recent years. It'll probably still do that with all of these redemption arcs, because let me just say right now, Cyberpunk 2077 has become one of my favorite games of the modern decade at least. I mean, just the remarkable things that you can do with this, and it has resulted in a redemption arc that I honestly, I can't believe what I'm looking at. It's one of the best redemption arcs that I've seen for a video game ever. It is downright remarkable what they've been able to achieve with this update. And I am really, really happy with it. And I want to talk about it some more with you guys. So enough of the intro. Let's get into the stuff that is absolutely blowing me away. And first of all, just the visual upticks. This game looks so realistic now. There were pixels in the original version, and that's just the smallest of changes. Everything from the way bikes are driven, cars are driven, damages that are there. The tiniest and most intricate details have been placed in here, and the devs have done an outstanding, applause-worthy job of really bringing this around. And really, it has to be commended also because most of the time, whenever there's a game that has a failed launch, oftentimes it's like the company saying, all right, fine, we're sorry about that, that's it, moving on, where, hopefully the next project will be better. Not the same thing over here. They said, we're gonna do a certain game, and we're gonna give you that game no matter the cost, and now we're finally getting that game 3 years later. And the expansions that have come in with stuff like Phantom Liberty have really helped. Which let's talk about, because that came out in September and I've played it twice actually. And I think this is an excellent expansion of the world. Dogtown is insane. All the stuff that happens over there, it's kind of insane. Like this is such a lawless land within the lawlessness of Night City itself. Like, you go over to Dogtown and it's just a completely different thing. But the characters that you interact with over there, like Songbird, who is someone who can essentially access the Black Wall, something that is so insane that it would wipe out everything if used too dangerously, and is able to communicate with V on the options that, hey, I might be able to get you a cure for this relic thing that's going on with you, and essentially create a connection between the two of them, which I was really invested in. And that eventually leads you to characters like Solomon Reed, played by Idris Elba, phenomenally, as well as Alex, who is another sleeper agent who is working for the FIA. And all of that stuff that brings up those inner politics which are going on within the NUSA, the stuff that Kurt Hansen is doing in Dogtown, who is running this place, with a very distinct Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now element to his character. I really loved what they were able to do with this, and I'm very happy with this particular expansion. As the twists and turns in the story come, eventually you enter these new locations, like Hansen's building, this Black Sapphire, is awesome. It's this really intricate place, but it's also this really lavish place where all the best people, like, Hansen's rich friends come along. There's this outstanding sequence where there's a performance by Lizzie Wizzy, who is the singer that you help early on in the other rest of the game, who is played by Grimes, and the song is being sung by Grimes, which is kind of cool as well. But all of that is so well done, and again, just a complete revamping of the game. And it recontextualizes the game as well, because the decisions that are happening over here, so many of the glitches and bugs that were plaguing it before are gone now. There's no rendering issues that I'm having anywhere, no vehicles coming out of nowhere and slamming into you and essentially making that thing go off balance, or you flatlining all of a sudden. None of that is happening anymore. There was one glitch that I did have though, which was I was in an elevator and I got the end card pass. As soon as I got it, for some reason, the floor of the elevator just gave way and I fell down and I flatlined. So, that's nice. It's a nice fear to have. Next time I'm going in an elevator, I'm just going to be hanging onto the sidebars. If it falls through, I'm holding on here, really get the arm workouts in, which is obviously something that kind of deviated on that one. But beyond that, I think that was the biggest glitch that I faced. Aside from that, everything else was going just fine. Melee has improved as well. Before, it used to really, really suck. I actually hated it. I thought it was the worst combat. Now it's a little bit better. But even now, if you have the option to just shoot, aim has gotten a lot better, by the way. So have the weapons. As you level up, you'll obviously get much more sophisticated stuff, and eventually once you hit tier 5 plus and all that, you're really quite hitting some heavy hitters when it comes to guns. There's one-shot kills after a while, which was really happening. I was doing it with a pistol. I have a Pride pistol. I'm being able to do one-shots with that thing, which is insane. That's something you want. It's doing more damage than my sniper rifle is. So, yeah, just putting that into perspective. If you're playing the game, get the Pride gun. It's gonna do wonders for you. So, that's a little tip out there. Otherwise, I loved, like I said, the storytelling, which has come now with all of these expansions. I love the side quests. There's so many of them now. Stuff that you're doing with Mr. Hands, especially now that you've actually met him in person. Really love that stuff as well. The gigs that are coming up from that are just beyond ridiculous. Some of them are very interesting, but they expand the world again in such interesting ways, and you never really want to leave it. You could ride around for hours in Night City. There'll be side quests popping up out of nowhere. There'll be little gigs coming up. You can now have your love interest show up to your apartment. In my case, it's Pan Am, so I get Pan Am in my apartment, which is awesome. You can have some romantic moments there. Whoever your partner is, you can do that too. So great. You have those going on as well. It's just those little things that flesh out the world and now make you feel like you've just got the game that they promised. And it's a significant bump up in quality. It plays a lot better. The controls with the PS5, absolutely fantastic. The stuff that you can do with, the controller, and also the audio work, just the stuff the music or the radio playing through the controller speaker, especially all the announcements from the NCPD, which are just all available units, and the song is coming from your from your controller. That's really, really amazing. So just love that immersive experience that it's now created. Even the interactions with Johnny Silverhand, I live for these. Every time you just get to have a chat with this projection, it's awesome. Keanu Reeves as, Johnny is fantastic, and you get some really great moments. And once again, I'm glad that, the game expanded upon those as well. So it really does feel like, there is a more integrated aspect to that connection that the two of them have, even though it's Killing V. But I just really like the way that they handle that, especially with the updates. And I do recommend giving it another shot. If you're somebody who played the original base game and was like, I don't like this, I don't want to, go back to it, I do recommend going back to it. Give it another shot. You might be very pleasantly surprised by what they've done now, and I hope that you enjoy the game more now. And there is so much more to explore, so I'm hoping that that works out for you. And again, it has bumped up my grade for things significantly. Earlier it was like a 7.5, which I gave only because I was being able to work it. But now I would probably bump that up to like a 9.5. That's a big boost. I'm nearly 10 out of 10. Very few games I've given a 10 out of 10 to. So, yeah. It's still got a couple of kinks in the armor. There's still a few things that need to be tightened up. But overall, I have to give a massive round of applause to CD Projekt Red for not giving up on this. I'm so excited for the sequel to Cyberpunk as and when they get around to it. And that's really where my thoughts end on that. You can watch my original review, which goes into a few more of the positives. So this is just really a follow-up to that. So you can kind of bridge a gap now between the two parts, and you can get a good idea of, what works, what doesn't work. And that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, I hope you guys stick around for other stuff. As always, if you like this, if you are not subscribed yet, please do hit that button. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much as always, and hope you guys have a really good time playing Cyberpunk.